Okay, so this will be my last video tonight until tomorrow. But anyway, so let's see. Went by the CVS a little bit earlier and bought some stuff. Uh, um, some cereal and some pecans and a little bit of health food items like granola bars and um, cereals and Special K almond. Right? And anyway, right. Uh, Cooked a couple pans of brownies to last me all week. Got a half an apple pie left from last Saturday. I bought it. Anyway, and um, idiot is still at it on YouTube. Like I know him, and he can tell me things that I don't remember happening, but he knows about all about it. That's weird, ain't it? Yeah, my ex-wife never brought it up after 11 years. And I just mentioned it oddly because of SVU I'm watching for 5 years or 6 years when I do my blogs anyway. And, that would make sense to some people, but not him. Right? I could have molested her, but didn't, right? It goes over his head, right? I don't know why either, I'm only around her 1 to 4 days, right? Either Friday or Monday when I moved back to base, right? I don't remember clearly what day it was, but I'm not around her for a long period of time, and she's with her mom the remainder of the weekend at the longest, right? All right. Sleeping in the bedroom with her, and I'm on the couch, right? So some people don't know that's an entrapping situation anyway if something happens, right? So you can't do nothing about that if you're on the couch and the stepdaughter wanders in there. The other one, other than Daphne, who would know about it, is her own dad, like Sheena's dad and and Lisa's dad. I don't know about Maribel's stepdad or anything, but I've been around some bad stepdads too, especially with some of my cousins. Ain't gonna name names, but I know that shit could happen. So I said I could have done something but didn't, right? Kind of trying to let you know, right? It's possible some men do that, but I'm not one of them, right? But anyway, like I said, I was born in '69 to my mom and dad, and they got married after he got my mom pregnant, so that's what I mean too, is right? I didn't know nothing about what was going on with her, but was she waiting for marriage or something and just failed to tell me? Or did she know we were having sex and uh, the shipmates wrote her evil letters or something? I don't know. Or did she freak out over me being one of the two witnesses and think I'm not supposed to have a wife? Right? The Bible don't say that. What do you think the two candlesticks are? Not two women? Could be. Could be. It could be a play on Noah's Ark, too. 8 people went into the ark. Well, John's hoping at least 4 people can explain what all that meant. Especially Revelations 1:13, which talks to Jesus having mastoids, right? And Paul saying the male and female are one in him. Because of Peter's Jewishness and confusion over what the Messiah's true role was, right? See, he fakes this to destroy his enemies. No, it's to teach us how to love each other so we no longer see another human being and make him your enemy, Peter. You got it wrong. You make Rome your enemy by trying to control their sex practices, by the way, or what they do as consenting adults with one another in their little orgies. Just as you Jews are marrying a woman in an arranged marriage, don't even know if she's your true wife or not, right? Well, the Romans aren't exactly doing what you're doing, but God knows what they're doing too, right? Well, Jesus don't condemn them no more than he condemns you, because he don't judge, Peter. But you're teaching the world to judge. And Moses, yes, he taught you to judge, but he told you the Messiah would explain something different and you should follow his way or you'll meet your own demise eventually. Because you're condemning the world, Peter, through Satan. And we're dying through Satan. We're staying dead. See, in a way, yes, Satan is brought back at the replenishing of the earth, probably by the third day, if I'm thinking right. And during that time, he does his first evil act with Jesus on the earth and tries to seduce him to sleep with his own wife, right? When they're two. Kind of like a Lot situation for Jesus, because guess who's the father and mother of Jesus? God and the earth, right? See, he's the first celestial being to become human, right? And uh, along with the water creatures and also with the insects, right? Uh, which is part of the atmosphere by day 5, right? Mm-hmm. And then day 6, he makes all the other animals on land, right? Um, right. Well, my theory is Satan tried to get Jesus drunk and get him to sleep with his wife when they were here on the earth during the third day, right? And in the fourth day, they went back into heaven, right? As the sun and the moon and the stars, right? Metaphorically, though, for them, they were angels formerly who became human, right? Well, Satan thought God's laws were too easy for men to not keep, and that if they didn't keep them, they should be punished for it, right? Even unto death, right? Well, again, because of that, he went back into heaven and became in Eden the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And on day 7, tricked Adam and Eve into having sex with him. But not just that, he went and committed suicide in the deep or sea, right? The ocean, right? He went and drowned himself in the waters of the deep, right? Or the sea, or the sea. But again, right, after that, right, we all died, right? Even of natural causes. So because he killed himself, right, we died. Now, my mom and dad stayed married till I was like 5 or 6 years old, and we moved and divorced around the first and second grade for me. And um, my mom met her new husband Roddy at Chatham City Apartments, and then we moved to Port Wentworth, and where I went to Port Wentworth Elementary for second grade, and then Strong for third. Well, my dad also remarried Mary Byra, as he was divorcing my mom. And again, he had a daughter, Shonda, either in 76 or 77, right? And by that time, he moved to Garden City himself in apartment complex that was a couple of wooden houses that was torn down shortly after he died in 81. Myra was pregnant with their second child, Bobby Lee Jr., Edward Jr. And anyway, but he sadly recently died in prison. And anyway, my mom also got pregnant by my stepdad, and they had Renee, right? And like I said, Bobby was shot in 81. And then after that, I got baptized, and a year later, I had the dream. And then I was reading about the two witnesses, and kind of like with Marcia, I thought that had to do with the dream because of heaven being God's throne and the earth his footstool. Right? Well, Jesus said, all power is given to me in heaven and earth, right? And the two witnesses stand before the God of the earth, but he's also the God of heaven, right? So again, I figured Jesus would, like with what Marshall was doing, say that she to me, right? Maybe similar to like he did with Paul. But it was kind of in a still small voice, like with Elijah. No big deal, that sheep, right? But after that, I said, okay, maybe that has to do with the dream, right? But I didn't really know anything about the two witnesses except myth and superstition about it. They were rumored to be two men in the spirit of Moses and Elijah, like John the Baptist and Jesus already were. So what? Every 2,000 years, God sends someone back in the spirit of Moses and Elijah if you're doing something wrong. Well, yeah. You're not loving everybody the same, right? You're not using agape love. You're using a form of love where you're loving those who agree with you in your beliefs, but if they do something different than you, say they're more sexually promiscuous, or they're gay, or they're this, or they're that, you even threaten them with stoning them and wonder why they are not happy with you or fight against you. You even banish your own sons and daughters over it. The sex act of a male with a male or a female with a female. You won't even let them legally marry, which Moses said he couldn't do that first, or last, or whatever, or at all. In fact, it's better to marry than burn, Paul said. Well, like I said, marriage of two men is a commitment, and two women is a commitment. Though it's also about a contract. You're trying to be faithful to one person too, right? Like I said, anyway. But some men are rapists and gay, right? That's another thing Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed for. It's not simply that the couple who were with the Lord went to Sodom, and the Lord remained yet with Abraham, and what all that meant, right? When the men were knocking on Lot's door after he invited them in to know them in the biblical sense of the word, or have sex with it, right? And there's another example of them trying to do the same thing to a Levite who went to get his wife back, who went back to her father's house and went a whoring, according to the passage, and back to her father's house. And anyway, the men knew her all night till morning, and she died of the abuse. Right. Well, he cut out her body and sent it to the 12 tribes, and there was a war against everybody, in Israel, and I think they killed so many people that were of that way of thinking. And anyway, that's part of the problem with being gay, right? Some men want to rape you into it, even if you're not gay, right? Some men might consider some men are truly gay, and they know they won't say nothing if they have sex with him or something, or even if they rape him, right? Into it. What they're really trying to do is out them before they're ready to come out the closet, basically. But instead of letting them have a loving relationship with another gay man who feels the same way about being with a man, right? They instead want to rape them into it and give them a bad experience with being raped too, and see if they still want to be gay. I think that's part of what that's about too. And some of them, though, like I said, probably stay gay, right? I don't know. But another problem is, like, they also stereotype people. Like, if you don't like certain colors that they like dark blue or light blue or whatever, or you like pink, for example, that's a girl's color. When even flamingos are pink and even the male flamingo is pink. Dumbass, right? Told you that before. I know. Pink's just my favorite color. Like Steve Tyler says in that song. Anyway. But what about it? It's a color, right? It's even the color of the rainbow. It's a color in nature, right? In fact, it's white and red mixed together. Usually. So, pink ain't the problem. It's your attitude towards men who like wearing pink shirts or something. That don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing. Again, right? And then you try to say, well, if you do this, this, and this, which is stereotyping people, you're gay. You're gay. According to our understanding of it, which is stereotyping them. Right? Now, some people, like I said, might be raped into it, but they believe they're gay after they're raped too, right? So they say gay. That's okay. I don't judge that. Right? But I'll let no man rape me. You'd have to kill my ass, right? And wouldn't get what you wanted. Because I would fight you to the death. You understand? There's a saying by the Marines called death before dishonor. Captain Carey, you might have heard of it. I think that's what it means, right? You let someone kill you rather than violate the UCMJ, for example. If the UCMJ says you're not supposed to commit sodomy, and you're a Christian man, you don't do sodomy on no man. And you don't let no man do sodomy on you. Well, last time I checked, right? And even if they threaten you with death, you would sooner die because we all die. Even Jesus died on the cross. Right? And if you're fighting for valor or a good, honorable thing, which rape is a crime, right? Though they make sodomy itself a crime in the UCMJ, but I didn't join it to be part of the gay Navy, but the regular Navy and learn a trade, right? That's why I went to the Navy, right? I wanted to become an electrician and learn how to do shipboard stuff like heating and air and learn the shipboard equipment. But guess what? No one taught me anything. The fan's still going round and round, round and round, round and round. The fan's still going round and I did the wiring. Anyway. We all have choices, dear. But anyway, I learned all this, though, through the Gnostic Gospels, which my shipmates exposed to me and started talking about Satan raping Adam. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, I understood all right. But I still told them no, because they must have blacked me out and think he tried to do something to me, you know. But I'm waking up in my bunk every morning going to the fight deck. Until I get off the ship after Sheena. Which is another weird encounter I had, or the first weird encounter I ever had with a female. Most of them I'm breaking up with normally too, Sheena, no real big deals. I'm giving him my address, but I'm not hearing from them or anything. I get a few letters from you on the ship, which are in the rewind shop when I get there in the morning. And I know you started writing me from your ship, so I started writing you too when I got your address. And I thought everything was on the up and up. And that's, like I said, you were confused about what I was going to do with you the following day, and you wanted to wait till marriage before you had sex. But wasn't my oral sex, and I got my wires crossed and gave you sex instead. But I don't think I raped you or anything now. Do you even know what that means, biblically? You have to cry out before the sex act is finished, or you're consenting. Now, did I maybe, what's the word, entice you with oral sex and then with the gay straight sex? Yeah. I might have done that. But you also didn't tell me, Shane, I'm in the church where we believe in waiting for marriage. See, I didn't know that. You were aware. Well, that's called a failure to disclose your personal belief in that particular idea before you let me pull your panties and shorts down. And what you might have thought I was going to do oral sex, but I have a penis too, by the way, dear. I could use that on you instead of using my tongue. If you let me pull your shorts and panties down, by the way, next time, don't let anybody do that to you, or they might have sex with you too. Maybe you didn't know that. By the way, I have a penis. It gets erect, and I can stick it in any woman's vagina, including yours, if you don't say you're waiting for marriage. Next time, know that. And I wouldn't have had sex with you who didn't want it, right? And would have just done the oral sex, and it would have been open and shut, and I wouldn't have had sex with you whether I got you pregnant or not, like I said in the letters, which I'm trying to figure out what bothered you. Were you just trying to have oral sex with me the following day? And failed to tell me you were waiting for marriage, and I switched it up to you on you to sex, and you didn't even realize it? Well, that wetness was my sperm entering your vagina, not my tongue. My penis is also longer than my tongue, which is why I treated you as a maid who had a bad experience with her dad but didn't mind, but who I enticed into premarital sex, like Moses talks about in the Old Testament. See, if I entice you and lay with you instead of doing the oral sex, I was gonna marry you, right? As he says. And I was gonna marry you either in Jerusalem or in Norfolk or Virginia when we got back. I was trying to be romantic. And I didn't know you didn't know all that was in the Bible. I guess. Right? See, I'm reading a lot of the Bible through Christian Fellowship Church, and I even read some of the things that those said about premarital sex, right? Because Dina had it with the Prince of Sechem, and it's kind of awkward how it happened, right? But Simeon and Levi kind of overreacted, got the men of Sechem to circumcise themselves, And while they were sore down there, murdered them all in cold blood. Well, Jacob didn't like none of that shit. All right, even though um, that was a premarital type situation too. They weren't legally. He didn't legally marry Dina, but they had had sex. I don't know if he got her drunk or anything specific, but the thing is, she was going to that neighborhood anyway, and they just happened to hook up or something, which is what they call it in modern day times when you do something like that before marriage. Well, anyway, no, Moses said though for it to be rape, you have to cry out during the act. By the way, in Deuteronomy, he talks about that too. You gotta be clear though with the male what you want. Like again, if you want oral sex and I pull down your shorts of pennies, don't forget I can also have sex with you. You need to make it clear to me if you're waiting for marriage or not. Some people do in the church and some people don't in the church. And whatever's going on, I didn't judge you. I didn't know you didn't want it either, but I wasn't trying to do you wrong or confuse you any more than I think you were purposely trying to do me wrong or confuse me if you wanted the oral sex alone too. Right. I've done that with a woman before who wanted to wait for marriage or didn't want to go all the way with me. I didn't have a problem with that either. That's what I mean. Well, like I said, the only persons who could interfere with our relationship are my shipmates. Right. They gave your letters to me. Yeah. If something more happened, right? Like they wrote you letters, right? Well, honey, I'm dyslexic. I was like a C plus student in typing. Now we did it around the ninth grade, I think, right? And anyway, my transcript showed that I got like a 78 in typing. I'm not really a good typist because I'm a little dyslexic with my I's and O's and B's and D's. I even sometimes hit my M or N's like, I get letters confused a lot. I have to usually, when typing on sheet paper with an old fashioned typewriter like we had in the 90s on the ship, I would make a bunch of typos. I would have to use whiteout a lot. That's why I was an electrician anyway. We don't have to use a typewriter if you're an electrician. The only guy in our division who did is the third class petty officer who had to do with typing up Lieutenant Usman's reports or something, right? And he had his little office again off the hangar deck, and if I remember correctly, and but I never touched his typewriter either. But the only way they could have hid it was them and not write different handwriting and stuff like that, right? That I was writing you. And I'm not sure if they sent you letters while the Navy was talking about 150 letters being written to you in a month anyway. I never wrote you that many letters. I might have sent you some Bible studies, which even then that would put it like maybe 50 letters to no more than 60, including what I wrote to you trying to figure out what was going on. Right? But it was all in handwriting. No type letters at all from my end, right? Unless the shipmates were trying to sabotage our relationship and wrote you negative letters attacking you, me and my girlfriend or something, right? Maybe even addressing S&M or dungeons or stuff. I don't know. I'm guessing that too because These are things I've seen in movies growing up. They might give reference, right? I even seen Flesh and Blood where, again, right, Rutger Howard, right, Jennifer Jason Lee, right, while she was captive, right, so she tried to make him kind of monogamous with her so no one else would have sex with her but him, right? I'm, right, right. Well, that's what I was trying to do with you. I was trying to be monogamous with you, but I didn't know what happened, right? I didn't know if we had a religious conflict because you're mentioning some prophetess telling you to beware of me, right? Well, in what way? In what way? See, whether you have premarital sex or not, that's possible in the church, right? If you're reading the Old and New anyway, is your church just teaching you the New Testament, Gina? Well, there's an Old Testament too. It gives terms for premarital sex and if you wait for marriage sex, right? It talks about it either way. In fact, Dina is an example. Tamar had to trick her father-in-law Judah into having sex with her, and weird things are happening in the Bible people don't pay attention to, right? And like I said, with Dina and Tamar, Dina sleeps with Shechem and her brothers freak out on it. That's why you're confused about premarital sex, too. Some religious leaders, okay, get confused about it, too, right? They think you gotta wait for a legal marriage ceremony before you're married. No, no. In Eden, God divided Adam and Eve into two, and they just had sex, and were married. No ceremony. He just brought her to him, told them to become one flesh, and they did, right? That means they just started having sex. Now, this is on day 6, too. I don't know how long it was until day 7, but the first day, could have been as 1,000 years. Day one. Or longer, even. But this is from Peter and Moses, right? They talk about the day being as 1,000 years. Well, Adam lived 930 years after the fall. Well, that's 70 years short of 1,000 years, right? Well, if the 7th day began, right, and sometime